Welcome back, brewers and beer lovers, to Flying Wombat TV, and it is our Easter special. Well, it's a week after Easter now. This is the Hot Cross Bun infused white stout. It's odd, even in brewing circles, this is a really weird beer. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but let's get into it.
I'm keen to taste a liquid hot cross bun. If it does taste like that, which is probably, you know.
It's just a sentence I never thought I'd hear.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to do the honors? You
Yeah.
can click. And there we go.
I lost the chicken.
I lost the chicken from my body. So, by the way, to explain this for anyone that didn't watch last year's video or is not from Australia or New Zealand, Easter bonnets are a thing down here for some reason. When you're in primary school, what would you guys call it? Grade school?
Easter hat parade.
Yeah, you have an Easter hat parade when you're like between the ages of 6 years old to 10 years old, where you make an Easter hat
Very
and
custom
you
tradition.
walk around. But it's really weird. It actually doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But for some reason, we do it.
How to celebrate the birth of Jesus? The reincarnation
I
of
think
Jesus?
it's just celebrating kids walking around in hats, to be honest. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, beers. Cheers, mate.
I already smelt this. I smell that off the bat. Wow.
Yeah. What does it smell like? What does it smell like to you?
I'm smelling that coffee, like straight cocoa bean.
Just so that all of you guys can actually see what this looks like, because with lighting and stuff in here, I don't know if you actually can see what we see, so a bit of extra light to it. I have tasted this. I already have my own thoughts, but I want you to say what you think first before I influence your opinion.
Doesn't quite taste like a hot cross bun. It tastes a lot more caffeinated.
So,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
It tastes
So,
like, it's just a coffee. I get that.
oh, you get coffee.
That
So,
coffee.
here's the really weird mind F with this kind of stuff. It looks like a blonde.
Yeah.
It smells like coffee, like cold brew, and it tastes like a coffee stout, which is the influence of that coffee bean infusion. It's wild.
It's
like,
nice.
For the record,
It's weirdly nice.
it is weirdly nice. I've only ever had 2 white stouts before this in my life. I've had one at Gab's last year, linked to that video up there somewhere, and I've had another one other time at a craft beer bar. It's not a super common style. Like, you don't really just find this in the bottle shop. It's normally like a specialty event festival style beer. But it's honestly, I think it deserves a place as a regular in craft beer tap rooms. It's a very bizarrely good style, but it doesn't mess with your head because you're looking at it.
It does mess with you. I feel like it's also, I feel similar to a sour almost with that. I don't know.
Oh, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That
I know.
aftertaste as well.
That aftertaste. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, so for reference for what this tastes like for you, it starts really sweet, and I believe that sweetness is the infusion of lactose. It has to be. Then it very quickly transitions from being kind of sweet and neutral into heavy coffee, like cold brew style coffee flavor / weak espresso. Not quite cold brew, not quite espresso, somewhere in the middle. And then the lingering somewhere is a sweetness that I believe must come from raisins / sultanas and not from the lactose. Did you taste? Oh no, you've already eaten it. You've ruined your palate now.
No, I'm comparing between the hot cross bun and the beer.
I taste the sultanas immediately after the first coffee hit. And then that lingering sweetness, I think that's the sultanas.
I think I have the coffee. It feels a bit overpowering compared to the raisin flavor.
No, I agree. And in our recipe, I put a post-brew edit note that next time I would up the sultanas, so the raisins. So I did 500 grams this time, which is 1 pound. I would double that, so I'll do 2.2 pounds or 1 kilo, because there is a touch of that sultana raisin thing going on, but it's not predominant enough to make it taste like a hot cross bun. And they're coming off everywhere. The reason I did that ½ kilo is because I've never used them in a beer before. And from what I had read on the forums, it's a very overpowering flavor. So I was kind of cautious about doing too much of it.
I thought from the video that I saw when you dry hopped it, I thought you did extract a lot of flavor. Because it looked like it changed the whole color of it as well.
It's there. You can taste it.
Yeah.
You can absolutely taste it, but it's not as...
I just taste the coffee more than
My hat's falling
I
apart.
just taste the coffee more than the raisins. That's the only thing.
Yeah, the coffee is
Yeah.
much more present. I think the other thing I might change next time is the actual coffee beans itself. So I used Arabica. That one. I know. I can't remember how it's pronounced, but I use those coffee beans, and I'm kind of thinking maybe that was actually a misstep. Maybe I should have used a coffee bean like a Robusta that leans more towards fruit-forward, red fruit kind of flavors in the coffee. I mean, it's subtle with coffee. If you're not a coffee person, you won't get it. But like, maybe that fruitier style of coffee, like more of an Indonesian style coffee, might have complemented this style more.
Would you reduce the coffee though?
No, because it needs to be there. Otherwise, it stops being a white stout. What I just need to do is up the other flavors.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, this stops being...
As a standalone white stout, it hits all the marks.
It's actually, as a standalone white stout,
Yeah.
great beer. Like, surprisingly good beer.
I mean, these are specialty beers that we only drink at like festivals. Like, you
Yeah.
don't see this.
But I could have
It's so rare to
But
get
I
out of
could
the bar.
so easily have a couple of these though. Like, it's actually really easy to drink.
Can you test how much caffeine's in this?
That's what I was going to bring up next. I'm starting to perk up, and I know I am. Like, so there was 250 grams that was soaked in a 25 liters of wort. That's like 6.6 gallons. I don't know what that means in terms of caffeine extraction because
How many do you have in a normal cup of coffee? How many beans?
I don't know, 20 grams? Maybe an ounce? I'm not really sure, but the part that I'm not sure about is because normally you crush the beans. The beans were whole. So did we extract that much caffeine?
I mean, but it's in there for days though.
It is. I don't know. I don't know. If someone knows the answer to this, please let me know because I have no way in my head to calculate what caffeine we could have extracted from this. I know there's something. I don't know what.
It's definitely got caffeine though. It's
Yeah.
definitely...
You drink one of these in the morning, you won't need your coffee.
You're gonna turn into the squirrel from over the hedge.
I know. I was actually thinking when I was buying the beans for this. On one side, I had the beans that I bought and all the other varieties of different coffees, and on the other side, there was like 3, or maybe even only 2, decaf beans. And I was looking at it going, oh,
Decaf or
normally I drink beer in the evening. Typically, I sleep in the evening. But it feels like fake coffee, so I went with the real one. But now in hindsight, maybe the decaf would have been a better choice.
You want that caffeine.
It's interesting. It's an interesting beer. I would like to hear if any of you guys have done white stouts, by the way.
It's such a specialty.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
I mean, it works. Like the experiment
It does.
works. I mean, actually, does it taste like a hot cross bun?
No.
That's the.
No, it doesn't really. There is, and I probably am only picking out the flavors because I know what I put into it. Like I can taste a bit of allspice. I can definitely get a touch of cinnamon. Don't really get a lot of vanilla, if I'm being brutally honest. I do get a bit of raisin going on. It doesn't really taste like a hot cross bun though. Like, no, it definitely doesn't.
Nah, it just doesn't. I mean, the coffee overpowers that sweetness. Probably a bit more lactose, a bit more raisins.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I would like to know if you guys have done any white stouts, because it is a very obscure beer style, and even when I was doing my research to make this one, there was actually not a lot of information out there and very few public-facing recipes. Very few recipes out there for all grain, and then even fewer that actually had other people brew the same beer and comment on it. Like there was a handful that had been made by the original person and no one's recreated, no one's been able to say if it was good or not. And then you're kind of like, well, how much coffee do I actually use? And what grains do I actually use? What hops do I use? It was a very difficult beer to construct with zero baseline. But I think it's actually, as far as a first attempt goes, pretty damn good. And as far as like a specialty beer in general goes, really not bad. I actually don't hate this.
Yeah. What would you rate it? On a scale of 10 out of 10 Moonbats?
I think it has to be rated out of specialty beers. I don't think you can treat this as a normal beer. It's too
This is
weird.
not, yeah,
for
this
that.
is like, what scenario would you drink this beer in? Yeah,
For a
you can
tasting
see-
video on YouTube.
Yeah, for views.
For views. I would taste
You
this.
see it at the bar on the menu, you'd be like, what the hell is that? And just buy it.
Yeah, you know
That's-
but you know when I'm most likely to do
Yeah.
that? It's when I've already had so many
Exactly.
beers that I no longer care what I'm tasting. And I will drink it, and on the night I'll be like, oh my god, it's amazing. And I'll text my beer nerd mates and be like, oh dude, I just tried this. And then in the morning I'll have no recollection of what it tasted like.
This is a beer you wouldn't go out of your way to seek out, but I think once you've tried it,
I agree. There's something about it that
Yeah.
kind of makes you want to have it again.
Yeah.
And I know that because I made this beer a week ago. So I've had it on tap for a week now. I've had it a few times since it's been on tap. I've had this over my pale ale.
it's weirdly addictive, I feel. It has that weird...
Moorish.
Yeah.
That's the adjective. It's Moorish. And it's not like it's the nicest thing I've ever tasted, but something about it makes you want to keep having it.
Yes.
Maybe that's the caffeine.
Oh, man. Now we need to make a tier beer.
A tier beer. Yeah, I need to make you cry. Yeah. Now you had a tier beer. Yeah, a tea beer.
Tea beer.
Yeah, Earl Grey. An
Earl
Earl Grey.
Oh.
What would you do it with? Probably a blonde. You need a neutral base. But, actually what I would want to do, and I'm sorry, I know we're going along with this, but I would want to brew the actual blonde without any of the infusions and just see how that turned out as a recipe, because it feels like a pretty nice base beer. Like the actual beer behind all the coffee and everything feels like a nice beer.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, simple hops. Can't
Cheap beer. Simple hops, simple brew day.
Yeah. Very efficient brew day.
Super.
To the pump.
Oh, I forgot about that. Fortunately for
was
this
still a
one,
good brew day.
yeah, so the pump wasn't working as fast as I needed the pump to work. There was issues,
Yeah.
but there was so few hops in this.
I
It's
don't-
such a low alpha content.
I don't taste any
bittering
off
didn't increase that much.
flavors as well.
So that's courtesy of the Snub Nose by Keg King, which allows you to pressure ferment. And when you're pressure fermenting, it means that you can deal with high temperatures. So if you guys are brewing in a summer, like an Australian summer, pressure ferment, please. It will save your beers. We've gone on long enough. We've gone on well long enough.
Didn't rate it out of 10. What would you do?
Oh my God,
Final
that was a
verdict.
question like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it, I feel the caffeine hitting. I'll give it an 8. I actually really like it. I really, really like it. The more I drink it, the more I like it. It's odd how that happens with beer.
For specialty,
For a specialty, I'll give it an 8.
I would give it a 9.
Would you?
I'd drink it again as a specialty, because a specialty is like
That's true.
a one-off thing.
It's so often specialties
Specialties are like a one-off, you only have it once
Yeah.
and never have it again.
and so often specialties are so odd in flavor that you're like, that's cool, but I don't want to taste that again.
Exactly.
Yeah, this I want back in my mouth. Yeah.
Like, what else, man?
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Happy Easter. Enjoy the holidays.
Enjoy.
There's definitely caffeine in that. Oh, I feel jittery.
Oh no.